Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the United Truth. Now we're going into today's transfers for Manchester United, and we're going to start with the biggest news of the day, and that is we are apparently more interested in David Brooks than we first thought. Okay, so my thoughts on David Brooks in general, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether it's a good signing for us as well. Okay, but first of all, I just want to go into like some of the things that I've been listening to today, and kind of the panic from everybody. Like, we're linked with David Brooks. What are we doing? Manchester United, we're pretty much finished. Like, what is wrong with everybody? What is wrong with everyone? Yes, I'm a little bit impatient. I think that we should have had some signings by now, or at least if you're just concentrating on one signing, at least get that signing done. Or if it's not happening, then just move on. But I don't understand. I don't understand the kind of panic when just because we're linked with David Brooks, what's that supposed to mean? What does that mean? That he's not a good player? Does that not mean that he can't help the squad? I've heard people talk about the fee, and we're going to spend more than Man City spent on the player that they got from Valencia, and I'm just thinking to myself, what has happened to everybody? And it started to make me think that this is possibly why that we're seen as this desperate club, because a lot of people, I think, realise that Manchester United want to get to the top. So, if Manchester United links with a player, it just seems as though that you haven't, that we've missed out on a player, because we all get so hyped over the one player, get so excited, and when it doesn't happen, we all go absolutely crazy. And teams see that coming. Teams, don't be surprised that teams do like have a social media. They are able to look into, what's trending and stuff like that. So yeah, the whole David Brooks situation, I'm like, what's wrong with having a player like David Brooks? What's wrong with bidding for a player like David Brooks? Could he improve the squad as a whole? Yeah, like before his injury last season, he had a serious ankle injury. He was a very good player. Like, this guy was touted as like the next big thing. I'm not talking on the level of Jadon Sancho, and I'll be disappointed if he was the replacement of Jadon Sancho and our chase for Jadon Sancho. I would expect if we wasn't going to get Jadon Sancho, we would go elsewhere for someone else, top level. But let's go into David Brooks' attributes. He likes to dribble, and he likes to play on the right. He's quick and creative. So we haven't got players like that or of that ilk. So for me, is it that bad a signing? Is it that bad a thought of even signing him? No. If he was to spend 30 to 35 million to 40 million, then I would say that that's absolutely ridiculous. My personal beliefs would be, and I could be completely wrong, so I'm sure that people will remember this, but if it was up to me, what I'd do, we've got a few of those young players that are ready for championship, going out on loan in the championship. I would offer that as a solution as to drive some of the payment down. I read earlier something about 40 million, and then I'd understand the concerns of the fan base, because 40 million for David Brooks is way too high, as it currently stands as well. Because for me, if you're going to spend 40 million on someone, then there is definitely better out there. But I'm just not jumping all over the fact that all of a sudden it's Brexit FC and it's the worst scenario in history. Yeah, for me, as I said earlier, he's a very good dribbler, very clever on the ball, plays on the right as well. 23, international. It's for me, it's not that bad a signing. Is he better than Daniel James? Yes, obviously for me, he definitely is. Is he better than like Lingard, for instance? Yes, he is. Right now, I haven't seen Lingard play well for well over a year. Shout out to Lingard, because I respect him as a player. But David Brooks coming to Manchester United is not the worst thing. And I'll keep repeating this, I'm not a Woodward sympathiser at all. But I'm just kind of like, why are we getting so crazy about a signing like David Brooks? I think we just need to calm down. I think he could potentially be a good signing for the squad, but that's a squad that needs improving. So, for instance, so as we was playing Sevilla, what could have happened potentially was Greenwood could have gone on to Rashford's side, for instance, as a squad, and David Brooks could have played on the right and took Rashford off. It's things like that. It's quite important to have like that type of squad and to improve the quality of the squad. So for me, is he a bit like people will jump all over this, but because of the legs just in general, he'll be a better option than Juan Mata now. Yes, Juan Mata came on in extra time against Copenhagen, changed the game or whatever. But let's be frank, he's seen better days. He's seen better days, and to start for Manchester United, he's miles off that. To come on in extra time is something completely different. Whereas I think for someone like David Brooks, who's on the upward trajectory, there's potential there, and I don't see it as much of a problem. As I said earlier, I see more of a problem if it was just David Brooks and that was a Sancho solution. That would be absolutely crazy. Also, there was talk of Gabriel. Gabriel has been linked with Arsenal, he's been linked with us, been linked with Napoli. Now, there has been interesting developments with this one just a few hours ago. Apparently, there's been 2 bids accepted, so I'm sure that's Arsenal and Napoli. What I'm hearing is that potentially he's the replacement for Koulibaly. An agreement has been agreed between Man City and Koulibaly, like wage-wise and personal terms-wise. It's just a fee between the 2 clubs. So this is where I can understand where the fan base might be getting extremely panicky, because that would mean Nathan Ake has just been signed, Koulibaly has just been signed, and they'll probably make some of that money back because someone will be crazy enough to pay for John Stones. I've been hearing like Chelsea want John Stones and Lewis Dunk. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the route that they're going down. So that's where my panic is. My panic is I'm expecting that we should be linked with fullbacks. I haven't seen us linked with one fullback. I'm panicking in regards to Jack Grealish. There's just nothing coming from there. I'm panicking because Jadon Sancho seems to be having fun at Dortmund, and we should really be moving on from him rather than we're just seeing all the, we're looking out for Dortmund results. And if Jadon Sancho said anything, well, he's not saying anything, because at the end of the day, it looks as though, you know, Manchester United have to put in a serious bid for him to even say anything, because he respects the club. Like I said in one of my other videos, it's a little bit like Ronaldo. You could see that he wanted to leave the season that he did leave, but he was respectful to United, even though Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't respectful to Real Madrid and stuff like that. So Ronaldo could have been a lot more awkward than he was, and he's kind of like the same with Jadon Sancho. So we've always got to remember that as well. So yeah, this is where we'll worry a little bit. Gabriel going to Arsenal or going to Napoli, not too worried about that at all. I've only just really seen much of him, to be honest with you. He looks like a very good defender. You know, we definitely do need one, but I haven't seen enough of him for me to say that he's going to completely sort out the whole of our defence. At the end of the day, is he better than Chris Smalling? I don't know. Chris Smalling sometimes is labelled alongside Phil Jones, and I think that's a little bit of a problem, because we've got to have to separate those two. Chris Smalling is so much better than Phil Jones. So if I'm saying to you, okay, Gabriel's available, but it looks like we might miss out to Arsenal or Napoli. For me, it's kind of like, okay, well, we've got Chris Smalling. We haven't got Chris Smalling, hopefully, to start for the whole of the season, because really we should be aiming for a top level centre back to play alongside either Harry Maguire or whoever else. So is Gabriel that man? I don't really know at the moment, and I don't think a lot of people know. I think people pretend that they know, but just remember, we've just gained a defender that was away. So I'm not as panicky in the centre-back position. I just know that we definitely need one. That's the difference. Okay, and it's a little bit the same when it comes to up front as well. Now we have got 3 top attackers. We definitely need somebody else. But again, we still have got 3 top attackers. So things like that is a little bit different. The fullback area, like I've said before, is the one. This is where I can understand why we are getting extremely agitated. It's quite interesting because I don't hear it from as many United fans as I thought that as I actually would. I'm hearing it's literally just Jadon Sancho, or unhappy about David Brooks, or we need a DM and stuff like that, which I agree with. I don't really hear anything about the fullback position, and I'm just interested to know what people actually think we're going to do with these fullbacks that we've got at the moment. In today's modern football, it's not just being a good defensive fullback. You have to offer so much more in attack. So you can see Rashford, his form dropped. It's his own fault, but it's also, as soon as Luke Shaw was out of the team, there was just no cohesion. We had like I've said before, we had a left-footed, we had a right-footed left back, and then we had Wan-Bissaka on the other side. I've said it so many times now. All we need is just other options. I'm not saying that some of these players aren't good enough for United. We just need other options. And that's what we need to start to look into. Fullbacks. That's all I want to hear is fullbacks. Like when it comes to David Brooks and players like that, if we sign them, we sign them. My only issue is if that's the only signing. So for me, another thing that I'd probably stress as well is I want to know exactly what's going on with our scouts across the pond. So this is where I can slightly agree when it comes to the Brexit FC. I think it's a little bit over the top. I mean, we have signed Bruno, and literally all we've signed is Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka as well. But at the end of the day, the same people who saying Brexit FC are the ones that are unconditionally loving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whereas United fans like myself who are questioning a few things, are kind of like saying, I'm not too sure about this, not too sure about that. But these guys are saying Brexit FC, but Brexit FC comes from the manager. So this is obviously what he wants to operate in. So I'm kind of going with the flow of what Ole is obviously wanting. There's a lot of talk about the culture in the club, and I completely understand it. But I want to know what these chief scouts are coming out with. I want to know what they've seen in each position. Have they unearthed anything? There was one who was in, I think it was Sweden. I think he was watching a 19-year-old striker. I wonder what's going to develop with that. Fullbacks, does it have to always be English? I'm not too sure. I'm interested about that. I want to see what we've got that we don't really hear about. That would interest me a little bit more. So yeah, I want to know exactly what's going on for the future, just like you guys. But all it is, I just want everyone just to stay a little bit more calm. I know that the Premier League is coming a little bit closer, but when we do get linked with someone like David Brooks, just embrace the link. Embrace the link. It doesn't mean that is going to be our only signing, but it's about building a squad for the future and right now as well. So bringing in a David Brooks, but then someone who's ready for the now could be quite important. We have struggled so much on the right-hand side. And at the end of the day, Mason Greenwood isn't a right-side player. He's just doing a job for us there. So I want to know what you guys think, guys. First of all, smash a like, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's time to panic? Are you happy with David Brooks potentially being on our radar? What do you think the fee should be? If so, and I'm on to the next one, guys. I'll catch you guys in a bit. See you later.